In the previous two videos, we focused on how to use PHP to create output and how to use PHP to create variables. The next core concept is how do I use PHP to make decisions. Primarily that's the if statement and switch. In this video, we are going to use the if statement to make a series of decisions using PHP and a list of links. When you're learning code, it's a good idea to think of the concepts you've learned so far. So in this case, we've learned how to create output, how to use variables, and how to make decisions. And while you're browsing, see if you can identify where those concepts are being used. So for example, Instagram is a website and its main content is posts. So if you look at an Instagram profile page, things like username, number of followers, number of following, and posts would all be variables. Somewhere within their code, there would be a request to a database to retrieve a list of posts. A loop would be used to loop through those posts and display each one. As it displays each post, there would be a series of if statements because the way a post is displayed depends on if it's a video, a single image post, or a multi-image post. In the last video, we focused on using a series of videos. In this case, they were information about Codecademy, and we wanted to get that information into HTML documents. In this example, it's the same end result. However, we're using an if statement and some random number generation code to randomly pick a different link as our topic. Each link will have a name, a URL, an image, and a description. However, some of those pieces of data are missing. So when we output our information, we need to use if statements to make sure that information is there before we output it, or else we're going to get bits of empty HTML content. Before we start coding, let's just review our starting code. So this line here will generate a random number, either 1, 2, or 3. This line will output that random number, just so we can see it and follow along. And then, if the random number is 1, PHP will define these 4 variables. If the random number is 2, PHP will define these variables. And if the random number is 3, PHP will define these variables. So we have 3 sets here of different link data. Notice the first one is missing an image, the second one is missing a title, and the third one has all values. When working with a database, there's a chance the data that you are going to extract from the database will be out of your control. So your PHP, your code, when outputting content, needs to adapt to changing content. So that's what this exercise is supposed to simulate. Every time you refresh, it's going to randomly choose Codecademy, W3 Schools, or Mozilla Developer Network, and your code should work no matter which topic it chooses. So I'm going to start up MAMP, open up our starting code, and here's our result. So notice the random number is 1 and the title is Codecademy. If I refresh, when the random number is 2, the topic is W3 Schools, but W3 Schools is missing a title, so we get some blank content. And if I refresh again, this time the random number is 3, so the title is Mozilla Developer Network. So we only need to edit code in this area. All these files are available on GitHub for download. Let's just get all of our content showing up on our page. Some of the images are quite big, so let's just help them fit on our screen, and there's our result. So as I refresh, you can see some of the content is missing. Codecademy does not have an image. And W3 Schools does not have a title. Before I output my title, I want to make sure that the title has a value. So I'm going to write an if statement that says if link name equals blank, then let's use the link URL. If the link name does have a value, then we can use the link name. Now, if we were covering functions, we could also use functions to take that link URL and at least cut out the domain name, so it's at least a little cleaner than a full URL. And if I refresh, Mozilla Developer Network is still working. And now W3 Schools has a title. It's not pretty, but it's better than nothing. Next, before I output my link description, I want to make sure the link description has a value. So if link description does not equal blank. And in this case, we don't need an alternative. If the link description is not blank, output it. Otherwise, we don't need anything. And same for our image. If the link image is not blank, then display our image. Again, with functions, we could go even further and we could make sure that the image actually exists. And finally, with our link URL, if link URL does not equal blank, then output our link. And we could go a little further here and say if link name is not blank, then let's display our link, but we could use the link name as the clickable text in our web page. Save and refresh. Okay, so there's our result. Notice everything is working and the link is using the title as the clickable item. And with W3 Schools, there is no title. So the URL is used as the title and the URL is used as the clickable element. And finally, with Codecademy, there is no image, so the image does not show up. And to make sure, if we inspect our code, notice the image tag isn't even there. So it's not an image trying to display an image that doesn't exist. The image tag is not there.